Hello everyone. Welcome back to my B&B Today's Spoiler channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. For days, Steffi had been pretending nothing had changed. At the Cliff House, she moved through the rooms with her usual confidence, answering calls from Forrester Creations, checking on the children, holding herself together the way she always had. To the outside world, she was still Steffy Forrester Finnegan, unshakable, protective, the woman who could face down Sheila Carter without blinking. But Finn knew her too well for performance to work. He noticed the pauses before she answered simple questions. He noticed how she looked away whenever Carter Walton's name came up. He noticed that his wife, even sitting beside him, felt like she was somewhere else entirely. One evening, he came home early and found her alone by the fireplace, a glass of water untouched in her hand. "You've been avoiding me," he said. "I haven't." Even Steffi could hear how thin the denial sounded. Finn sat across from her. "Then look at me and tell me everything is fine." She opened her mouth. No answer came. That silence frightened him more than any confession could have. He'd already noticed how quiet Carter went whenever Finn walked into a room, how nervous Steffi became whenever Carter's name was mentioned. Something was sitting between the three of them, and he could feel its weight. "Is this about Carter?" he asked. Her heart dropped. "Finn, please." "Please what?" "I'm not trying to fight with you. I'm trying to understand why my wife suddenly feels like a stranger." She looked away. He stood. "Do you have feelings for him?" "No." The answer came too fast, and they both heard it. "Then why can't you look at me?" She rose to face him, because the truth had been waiting behind every forced smile for weeks. She thought back to the night it happened. A night she'd been furious with Finn after another crisis involving Sheila had left her emotionally wrung out. She had spent years defending her marriage from outside threats, and some nights it felt like the fighting never stopped. Carter had been there. He'd listened. He'd told her what she needed to hear in a moment. She felt completely alone. Neither of them had planned to cross a line, but they had. And afterward, Steffi convinced herself that silence would protect everyone. Finn, the children, the family. Instead, the secret had become a second marriage living inside her real one, built entirely on fear. Back in the Cliff House, Finn stepped closer. "Did Carter kiss you?" Steffi closed her eyes. "Yes." His face changed completely. "Did you kiss him?" Another unbearable pause. "Yes." He stepped back, devastated. "Was that all?" Her tears started falling. "Finn, was that all?" She could barely get the words out. "No." She forced herself to finish it. "Carter and I slept together." Finn didn't move for several seconds. When he finally spoke, his voice was flat with disbelief. "What did you say?" "It happened once." He gave a bitter laugh. "Once. You think saying it happened once makes it a smaller betrayal." "No, I'm not trying to excuse it, but you hid it from me." She nodded through her tears, and he thought of every time she demanded honesty from him, every time she questioned his loyalty, every time she'd asked him to put their marriage first. "While I was trying to prove I was worthy of your trust," he said, his voice breaking, "you were hiding this from me." She tried to explain that she'd been emotionally broken that night. He shook his head. "You were hurting, Steffi. I understand that. But you had choices. You could have called me. You could have screamed at me. You could have left me. I know. But you chose Carter." The words emptied out whatever strength she had left. "No," she whispered. "I chose the wrong way to escape how I felt. The line that couldn't be uncrossed." The argument kept climbing, and in the heat of it, Finn lost control and struck her. The room went completely silent. Finn froze, his anger gone in an instant, replaced by horror at what he'd just done. "Steffi." She stepped backward, raising a hand. "Don't come closer." He stopped, staring at his own hand like it belonged to someone else. "I'm sorry. You should be." "I know." He didn't try to defend himself, didn't try to use her affair as an excuse. He simply stood there, shattered. "I crossed a line," he whispered. "There's no excuse for that." Through her tears, Steffi managed one more sentence. "What happened between me and Carter doesn't justify what you just did." "I know." For the first time all night, they both understood that their marriage was now carrying two devastating betrayals at once. not one canceling out the other, but both sitting there, equally real. Finn packed a bag in silence and left. Steffy watched the door close behind him, then sank to the floor. Finn drove without any destination in mind and ended up at his mother's house. The moment he saw his face, she knew something terrible had happened. He resisted explaining at first, but eventually told her everything. Steffy and Carter, and then, quietly, what he had done in the argument that followed. Lee's expression changed instantly. You hit her? Yes. Finn, what happened to you? I lost control. That explains it. It does not excuse it. I know. For the first time, Finn understood that surviving this wasn't only about deciding whether he could forgive Steffy. It was about facing the person he'd become in that one moment. Across town, Steffy called her father. The instant Ridge saw her face, he knew this wasn't an ordinary fight. What happened? Dad. Finn knows about Carter. Ridge went still. You slept with Carter. She nodded and watched fury, disappointment, and heartbreak move across his face all at once. But when she told him how the confrontation had ended, his anger shifted direction. He wanted to go after Finn immediately. Steffy stopped him. No, Dad. He knows what he did was wrong. He left because I asked him to. Ridge looked at his daughter for a long moment. Your betrayal doesn't excuse his actions, and his actions don't erase what you did. She had nothing to argue with. He was right on both counts. At Forrester Creations the next morning, Carter sensed something was wrong before anyone said a word. Steffy wasn't there. Ridge arrived wearing an expression Carter had never seen on him before. Close the door. Carter obeyed. Did you sleep with my daughter? There was no point lying. Yes. Ridge's anger came out in a rush. The betrayal of Finn, of Steffy, of a family that had given Carter so much. Carter didn't back down. Steffy made the choice too. I know. Then don't make me the only villain. I can be angry at both of you, Ridge said, stepping closer. Then he told Carter that Finn knew, and when Carter learned the confrontation had turned physical, his guilt gave way to real fear. Is Steffy okay? She's safe. Carter wanted to see her. Ridge shut that down immediately. You stay away from her. Carter nodded, but as Ridge walked out, a colder thought settled over him. The secret he believed could stay buried had already reached nearly everyone it could touch, and the damage was only starting. Finn returned to the Cliff house days later. Not to repair anything, just to collect clothes and see his kids. Steffy's heart lurched the moment she heard the door open. She'd spent days replaying the confrontation on a loop. The confession, his heartbreak, the moment his anger turned physical. Neither of them knew how to start. Finally, she said it. I'm sorry. I know. I mean it. I know that too. The silence stretched between them until Finn finally asked a question that had been eating at him since the night he left. Do you love Carter? No. Do you want him? No. Then why him? She struggled for an answer because there wasn't a simple one. Because I was broken, she finally said, and he was there. That doesn't make sense. You risked everything for someone you don't even love. I wasn't thinking about the future. That's exactly what scares me. Finn admitted he could understand loneliness, understand anger, even understand how two hurting people could get emotionally tangled up. What he couldn't get past was the silence afterward. You had months to tell me. Every day I waited made it harder. Were you ever going to tell me? She hesitated a beat too long. He gave a sad smile. That's what I thought, he said, and turned to leave. Are you leaving me? She whispered. He stopped. I don't know. The words landed harder than any accusation could have. I don't know who we are right now. And honestly, I don't know who I am right now. She wanted to reach for him. She didn't. I still love you, she said. I still love you too. His voice cracked. And that's what makes this unbearable. He walked out. The consequences spread fast through the Forrester and Logan families. When Ridge told Brooke that Steffy and Finn were separating, she was floored to learn Carter was involved. She knew better than most how one impulsive night could cast a shadow for years. Don't turn this into another Forrester war, she warned Ridge. My daughter's marriage may be over, and if you turn this into revenge, you'll only make it worse. He knew she was right. Knowing didn't make it easier. Meanwhile, Carter was unraveling under his own guilt, and Daphne noticed immediately. "You look like you haven't slept." He tried to brush it off, but she pressed until he admitted that Finn knew everything. "Does Steffy still have feelings for you?" "No." "You're sure?" "Yes." She studied him. "Then why do you look like you're grieving?" He had no answer. "Maybe you're telling yourself it was a mistake," she said quietly, "because that's easier than admitting what it meant. It was a mistake. Then why are you still carrying it like it's unfinished?" The question stuck with him, because Carter knew something Daphne didn't. That night hadn't felt meaningless. It had happened in a moment of weakness, but the connection underneath it had been real, which made it far more dangerous than a mistake he could simply regret and move past. What they owed themselves. Finn couldn't stop thinking about Steffy, but every memory now came attached to another one. Every affectionate moment shadowed by Carter's name. Every family memory shadowed by the secret. Every quiet second shadowed by the memory of his own hand. He knew he had to take responsibility for that, not to win Steffy back, but to understand how he crossed a line he never thought he was capable of crossing. He started counseling on his own, quietly, without telling her. He didn't want it mistaken for strategy. Sheila, predictably, saw opportunity in the wreckage. Deacon warned her off. "Finn is your son. This is his marriage. I only want to support him. You know how this looks." She found Finn outside the hospital anyway, looking hollowed out. "I heard about Steffy and Carter." "Who told you?" She dodged a question. "I'm sorry. Don't use this to get closer to me." "I wouldn't." "That's exactly what you always say." She backed off, but not before saying the one thing she knew would land. "Steffy betrayed you. Maybe now you understand what it feels like when someone you love decides you're not enough." Finn walked away, but the words followed him, not because he believed her, but because he was afraid some part of him might start to, that he let her twist a marriage's worth of real problems into a single, simple story of betrayal. Back at Forrester Creations, Steffy and Carter finally had a conversation they couldn't avoid any longer. "I'm sorry," he said. "Don't. I mean it." "I know you do." He looked down. "I should have stopped it." "So should I. We both made the choice." Her voice cooled. "And now my marriage is falling apart." "I know." "Then don't tell me you're sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this." He asked if Finn was coming home. She didn't know. "I never wanted this," he said. "Neither did I." She stepped closer, her voice firm now. "But don't ever confuse what happened between us with the future. There can't be another moment." "I understand. There will never be another night like that. I promise." Neither of them noticed Daphne standing just outside the door, close enough to hear it all, and see something on Carter's face that frightened her far more than the words did. It wasn't the expression of a man who'd moved on. It looked like a man who had lost something, and it made her wonder whether her relationship with him could survive whatever the truth actually was. Daphne confronted him that night. "You said you were done with her." "I am." "Then why do you look like you're still waiting for her?" "Because I destroyed something." "You destroyed Steffy's marriage." "And mine," he said. She froze. "You think you destroyed ours?" His silence was the answer. Meanwhile, Steffy kept functioning, running meetings, making decisions, holding the company together the way she always had. But every quiet moment reminded her that Finn was gone. Taylor tried to reach her. "You made a terrible choice, but you can't spend the rest of your life believing that one mistake is the only thing you are. What if Finn never forgives me? Then you'll have to accept that. Wanting forgiveness doesn't give us the right to demand it." The word stayed with Steffy, because she realized she spent so much energy wanting Finn to understand the mistake that she'd lost track of something important. Understand it was not the same as forgiveness, and forgiveness was not the same as forgetting. The beach house. Finn's therapist pushed him to separate two different things: his pain over the affair and his responsibility for what he'd done in the argument. "If I blame her for everything," he admitted, "then I never have to face what I did." It was a hard thing to sit with. He'd been betrayed, and he'd also crossed a line nothing could justify. If he wanted to become someone better, he had to own that without conditions attached. Eventually, he agreed to meet Steffy at the beach house, a place full of old memories laughter and fights and imagined futures that now felt almost neutral. She got there first. He arrived a few minutes later. Neither of them sat down right away. "I'm not here to decide whether we're getting back together," Finn finally said. "I understand. I need you to know something." "What?" "I'm sorry for what I did. I believe you. I know you were hurt by what happened with Carter, but I also know that doesn't excuse me. I'm not ready to move past it. I don't expect you to." For the first time since everything had come apart, they were able to talk without either of them raising their voice. Steffy admitted she'd been afraid, not just of losing Finn, but of what she'd seen in herself. "I thought keeping the secret would protect you." "It protected the secret," he said. "And every day you kept it, it got harder for me to know what was real." "I know. Do you still want our marriage?" "Yes." The answer came instantly. "But I don't know if wanting it is enough." "That's where I am too." Love, they both understood, had survived. Trust had not. And that difference might determine everything that came next. What Daphne needed to hear. Back at the office, Daphne finally asked Carter the question she'd been circling for days. "Do you love Steffy?" He looked stunned. "No, that wasn't my question." He said nothing. Her eyes filled. "You don't have to be in love with someone to have feelings for them. I care about her." "That's exactly what I'm afraid of." He tried to explain. She was hurting. He was trying to help. "So were you?" Daphne said, and he had no answer for that either. She turned to leave. "You keep saying that night was a mistake. But mistakes don't always happen because people stop caring. Sometimes they happen because they care too much about the wrong thing." Carter understood, for the first time, that his relationship with Daphne was genuinely in danger. And this time there was no one else left to blame for it. Sheila, still circling from a distance, since the marriage was vulnerable, but knew better than to move too fast. Deacon confronted her again. "You need to leave Finn alone. He needs his mother. He needs space. His marriage is falling apart. Maybe Steffy deserves to lose him." Deacon warned her that pushing now could cost her the fragile relationship she'd rebuilt with her son. She backed off, but she didn't stop watching, and she didn't stop wondering whether there would eventually be a space in Finn's life that she could fill. Steffy went home to the Cliff House alone after the meeting at the beach. She wandered through rooms that looked exactly the same and felt nothing like they used to. An old family photo caught her eye, and she stood with it a long moment, realizing that for years she'd fought to protect her family from Sheila, from rivalries, from outside threats, and this time the greatest danger had come from inside her own marriage. She had helped build it herself. Her phone rang. "Finn, I need to tell you something," he said. Her heart pounded. "I don't know if I can forgive you yet. I understand, but I also don't know if I can walk away." "Are you saying you want to come home?" "No, not yet. I need time." "I'll give you time." A long silence. Then, "I still love you." She started crying. "I still love you too." Neither of them knew what would happen next. The betrayal hadn't disappeared. The violence hadn't been forgotten. But for the first time, reconciliation felt like something that could actually exist. Not because the wounds were gone, but because both of them had finally stopped running from the truth of what had happened. Then another message came in. This one was from Carter. "We need to talk about what really happened that night." Steffy's stomach dropped. Carter wasn't talking about the affair. He was talking about something else entirely. Something Finn didn't know, and something that was about to change the entire story. Steffy's first instinct was to delete it. She knew exactly how dangerous one more secret could be right now. But Carter called before she could decide. "Steffy, please listen. What could possibly be left to say? There's something you don't know. The night we were together, it wasn't just two people making a mistake in a vacuum. Before that happened, someone had already been pushing both of us toward the edge." "What are you talking about?" "I don't know who started it. The messages." Steffy went cold. She remembered them now. Anonymous texts she'd gotten around that time. One she'd assumed were just another Sheila move, except some of them had contained details almost no one outside her marriage could have known. Carter admitted he'd been getting similar ones. Messages nudging him closer to Steffy. Messages that clearly knew about the cracks in her marriage. Messages that seemed to know exactly when she and Finn were fighting. "Why didn't you tell me?" I was afraid that if we told anyone, everything would come out. The affair was still theirs to own. Steffy knew that. But a second, colder question had opened up underneath it. Had someone deliberately engineered the moment that led to it? I kept one of the messages, Carter said. Where? My office. She told him not to move and was there within minutes. The message he showed her contained details about private arguments between her and Finn. Details a stranger shouldn't have had any way of knowing. Someone was watching us, she said, and they wanted us to break. It didn't erase what had happened between them. It didn't undo the betrayal. But it meant something else had been happening in the shadows the entire time, and now they needed to find out who. Finn had spent days working on himself, accepting responsibility for the night he lost control, accepting that Steffy might never fully trust him the same way again, and still loving her anyway. When he arrived at the Cliff House, Steffy told him about the messages. Why didn't you tell me before? I didn't know they were connected. He studied the evidence, his expression shifting. If someone was manipulating us, they knew exactly where to push. It doesn't change what I did. No, and it doesn't change what I did either. For the first time, neither of them tried to dodge that. They could chase down the mystery together, without pretending it would magically repair the marriage on its own. Finn reached for her hand. She hesitated, then let him take it. A small gesture, but after everything, it meant more than either of them expected. I don't know if we can go back, Finn said. Maybe we shouldn't, Steffy said. Maybe we need to build something different. It'll take time. I know. And honesty. I know. And no more secrets. He looked directly into her eyes. No more secrets. Across town, Daphne confronted Carter one last time, now armed with knowledge of mysterious messages. You're still protecting Steffy. I'm trying to find the truth. Or trying to protect yourself. I hurt everyone. You did. I can't undo it, but I can stop making it worse. For the first time, Carter understood that saving his own image wasn't the point anymore. The truth mattered more than his comfort, even if it cost him the relationship he had left. At Forrester Creations, Ridge learned about the anonymous messages and wanted to launch an investigation immediately. Brooke urged caution. Don't let suspicion turn into another family war. But Ridge wasn't willing to ignore the possibility that someone had deliberately targeted his daughter's marriage. Then a new detail surfaced. The messages had been sent from a device linked to an old Forrester security account. Ridge went quiet. Access to that account was limited. Former employees, family members, a handful of people who'd worked closely around the company. One name stood out immediately. Before Ridge could act on it, the security system went dark. Someone knew they were getting close. What had started as a private betrayal had become something far more dangerous. Hope with conditions. Back at the Cliff House, Steffy and Finn were beginning to understand that a marriage doesn't get repaired in a single conversation. The affair had broken trust. The confrontation had opened another wound entirely. And now, somewhere in the background, someone may have spent months quietly exploiting every crack between them. I don't know what happens next, Finn said. Neither do I, but I'm willing to find out. So am I. They didn't kiss. They didn't promise each other that everything would be fine. They simply sat together, not pretending anymore. And for the first time in days, that honesty gave them something they'd nearly lost completely. Hope. Then Steffy's phone buzzed. Another anonymous message. You still don't know who started this. A second one followed. Ask Carter what happened before that night. Finn's expression went hard. Call him. She hesitated. Call him. She did. It rang 3 times before Carter finally picked up, his voice tight. Finn, you need to hear this. What? I know who had access to the messages. Steffy held her breath. Who? There was a long silence before Carter gave him a name. And in that instant, Finn understood that the crisis in his marriage had only ever been one piece of something much larger. Someone they both trusted had been watching their relationship collapse from the inside, one carefully placed message at a time. And suddenly the question wasn't whether Steffy and Finn could save their marriage. It was whether they could survive what was coming next.